Oh, hello, everybody. It is Thursday. It is March 20th. And today we have the Victoria Real Estate Show with,
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker at DLC Modern Mortgage Group.
there you go. And I'm Andrew Plank with Vibe Collective and Royal LePage. I'm on the road today, and Jane is not with us today because she's on the other side of the world on the biggest continent, I think, that we've got, checking out animals on the savannah.
So amazing.
Good for her. Yeah, kind of jealous. How about you?
Me too. Very jealous. That's a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's on everybody's bucket list, but um, it's up there for sure.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
on mine.
today it's on yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just bring in our slides here. And so today it is March 20th, as I said, and we are going to. Oh, it disappeared again on me.
You're on the road.
We don't have our fearless leader here who usually runs this. But so today we are going to talk about the past week's stats, as we always do. We've got a mortgage update from Jen. We're going to discuss general market conditions. What are we experiencing out there, both from Jen's perspective and mine. And we've got a couple of client stories about some things that have sort of come up for us recently that we want to highlight. And I also want to really briefly talk about some new construction, new forms that have come up, which I actually think are a great thing because it's a good thing for all new buyers of new construction to be aware of. So we'll just really we'll touch on those things. And we've got about 20 minutes today, so we're going to just dive right into it.
Sounds good.
So in the past week, we have had, let's change this view. The past week, we've had 393 new listings go live compared to 420 the week before. So we're a little lower on new listings. We've had 157 properties go pending. That means they went unconditional in the last week. 130, that's compared to 132 the week before. And we had 181 properties decrease in price. These are pretty high numbers for price decreases. It is showing us that people are not getting sold in the time that they're hoping, and they are having to make some adjustments. And so that's 181 compared to 129 the week before. And 43 properties expired unsold last week as compared to 22 the week before. So again, properties not achieving their price. That being said, I'm still finding it really vibrant and active out there. So we are seeing a fair bit of activity. Jen, any comments on these stats?
Well, just on the market in general. I mean, it's gotten crazy busy for me as well. In the last week, lots of people making offers, lots of people, reaching out about properties of interest.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, we're definitely in the spring market here, it feels like.
Okay. Yeah. We're getting into the middle of this spring market. What are we at? Past mid-March. We've passed the Ides of March, past St. Patrick's Day. We've all worn our green, and and spring break is happening. So yes, people are now really starting to get serious about buying a home. So based on these numbers here, the new listings versus the pendings, we have ratios of just about 0.4, 40% list to sell ratio. So that means for every 10 properties listing, there's 4 properties selling at this time. That's sort of the intake and outtake for the market. Last week, it was about 50%. Now,
so one question. So is that more of a balanced market then, would you say? Or is that a buyer's market?
Well, I'd say we are probably still imbalanced.
Balanced.
Yep. It's not feeling like a buyer's market just yet, but it's definitely not a seller's market.
Right.
In fact, I won't go into, we're experiencing, I would say, but sellers who are trying to set up for the multiple offer such situation,
Mhm.
not finding the buyers coming to the table. That being said, some properties are, of course, if they're well priced, there's always exceptions. But anywho, anywho,
Anywho,
anywho, anywho. So we've got this month so far, as of Monday, is when these stats come out. So as of Monday, which would have been, what was that, the 16th, 17th,
17th.
we had 286 net unconditional sales, and we had 794 new listings come to market, and we had a total active listings of 2,871. Now, last year in the full month, we had 587 properties come to market and 1,309 new listings in the full month, and 2,647 active listings. So given that list to sale ratio we were talking about earlier, we're not going to be seeing a lowering, I think, of the active listings. In fact, I think our numbers are going to go up higher. So we're going to see a higher number by end of month. So this 2,871 is probably going to be, above 2,900, probably not quite to 3,000, but I think we're going to see it getting up there. So we're seeing more and more competition amongst the active listings. And again, by when this came out on the 17th, that was not a little more than halfway through the month. But if we kind of extrapolate 794 and double it to that's almost 1,600, our new listings by end of month should be again higher than this full month from 2024. And sales wise, I'd say we're about on target for similar number of sales. So Jen, do you want to give us a quick update on what's going on in the mortgage world? And then we can get into your story, because you had a cautionary tale, I believe.
Yeah. So we're definitely, there's lots of fluctuation in the rates. We're seeing high ratio insured rates. So meaning if you have less than a 20% down payment, those interest rates are now under 4%. So that's great. For variable rates, last week we had prime rate drop by 0.25%. So that's also dropped the variable rate. So that's great. However, on Tuesday, our inflation rate went from 1.9 to 2.6.
Yeah.
So that's concerning, but apparently from the biggest reason for that increase to the inflation is the GST break that we had that ended in February.
Right. So it's sort of an artificial number in a sense, because they brought back in costs that we were experiencing in the past that they'd taken away. So it made it look like there was a bump in
the inflation rate.
In the inflation rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good news then.
Yeah, for sure. To share my story here. So I had clients that reached out to me that were at Realtor Open House, and they were discouraged because they'd gone to their bank and were told they didn't qualify for a mortgage because they were retired. They didn't have any income other than, their pension income.
Right.
In asking a few more questions, they owned a couple properties. They didn't have any mortgages. There was rental income. They were very well established and had dividend income coming from a company.
Right.
So frankly, they 100% will qualify for a mortgage. So I said, I just got to ask, did your bank rep ask any of these questions? And he said, absolutely no, none.
Right.
So bottom line is yes, please, I've been, when I started in this industry 25 years ago, I guess, I was one of those bank reps and I had no idea what I was doing. So please, I urge everyone to reach out to a mortgage broker and have that professional in your corner.
So it sounds like the takeaway here is, number one, stick up for yourself, ask more questions yourself, make sure that you give all of the information to the person that you're talking to, and also go with someone with experience, like a mortgage broker like Jen, who actually knows the questions to ask and can actually walk you through the process. Because if you don't, you could be actually not able to purchase the property that you want to purchase. And I know for myself, years ago when I was buying my first home, trying to get qualified, this wasn't a bank versus non-bank. This was a mortgage broker versus mortgage broker. But one mortgage broker said, look, you're self-employed. You don't have the income on paper to show what you've got. And so there's no way anybody's ever going to give you a mortgage. He actually went to the effort to write me a letter saying, you're not going to get a mortgage. And I went to someone else who said, yeah, we can look at this. We can look at this. We can probably take 2 months, 2 years of income instead of 3, put together this package and get you a mortgage. So I think it's really important, as Jen is saying, and as we're out there, that's not to just take the first no as this is the way it is, and to ensure that the whole picture that you have, like, I think people do assume, like I've heard, a couple of people, they're retired, they come to you and they say, well, we want to buy a home. And if you just think, well, they're on pension, they're retired, they're not going to get any income, you're going to write them off right away. So you've got to dig a little deeper, because there's a lot of people out there that, they've actually done good things for themselves in their financial position, and the banks should be giving them money to help them
100%.
improve their life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you for getting them in.
Yeah, it definitely felt good.
Yeah. So that was Jen's cautionary tale. I want to talk really briefly about something that came up for me. I was talking to a buyer that I had worked with some time ago, and then they weren't finding what they wanted in Victoria, so they ended up going and making an offer on a home in Italy, of all things. And too bad. Okay, I understand it's not working out here. Well, they just circled back with me, and they've actually ended up buying that home, and they're still looking for a place in Victoria. But what happened was, after they put in their offer on that home, the foreign buyer ban came out in Canada, and that actually impacted their purchase in Italy, because Italy has a reciprocity law. And some countries, I don't have a full list of countries, but this is really important for any Canadian who's looking to purchase overseas, to keep in mind that some countries have a law around housing that if you have a restriction on housing that would impact one of their citizens, it's going to have a reciprocal effect on the citizen trying to buy in their country. They ended up with costs and months of runaround and really trying to find a way to make it work. And thankfully for them, they were actually able to do it, because otherwise they could have lost their deposit. The timing was horrible for them, but they've moved past it. And I was really happy to hear how positive they were about the whole thing as a learning event for them. But just know, Canadians, that although we've got these laws that say no foreign buyers allowed, those laws could actually come back to bite you if you're actually wanting to be a foreign buyer elsewhere.
So did they have a lawyer assisting them in Italy?
I would assume so. But keep in mind, sometimes legislation comes in, and for them, they got caught in the interim between making an offer and then the legislation coming in. So that one caught them additionally. But, if you're making plans or thinking about buying something overseas, do know that you want to look into this and definitely check it out, because you don't want to get caught up in getting out there and thinking you're good and then being caught up in a foreign buyer ban. That's really not in a place in the country, except for the fact that it's a reciprocal, or the reciprocity laws. It's as it says, it's a principle, is a cornerstone of international law, particularly in matters concerning the rights of foreign citizens within a nation's borders. In the context of property ownership, this principle generally dictates the country will extend the same rights and privileges to citizens of another country that its own citizens receive in that other country. But then sort of the converse of that is, any restrictions are also going to be generally extended.
Well, I
So
learned
that's where that
something new
reciprocity
today.
comes
That's
in.
very interesting.
Yeah, it surprised me, and I had to go and look up more information about it, and I thought like, that's something we should probably share here. Not going to affect many people, but it is an interesting knock-on effect of, our own laws here, and it may not just be the foreign buyers ban. It could be other laws that are in effect in Canada affecting. Um, there's the vacant home tax and so forth. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
That's the whole point of, if you're doing or considering some overseas purchase, definitely engage with a lawyer. So that
even
was that.
even even here as well. I mean, I just recently have clients that when they're husband and wife, but the wife is on a work permit, so she does not have her permanent residency yet. So we reached out to a lawyer and we figured out how we could make it work. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, she's on the mortgage, but not going to be on title of the home.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't call it workarounds because we don't want to talk about workarounds, but you know, there's definitely things to consider if you think, again, just like like your senior couple who were told they couldn't get a mortgage because of their situation. It's always good to double check your situation too if you're considering coming to Canada and you're a foreign buyer and you are not sure if you qualify. And I've got a connection for a lawyer who does know
Yes.
the ins and outs of foreign buying and coming to Canada as a foreign
Yeah.
buyer, which we'd be happy to connect you up with if you're out there watching the show and wanting to get some professional advice.
Exactly.
There you go. Okay. And then the other thing I just wanted to briefly touch on today, this came up at our sales meeting recently, is that if you're looking at buying a home, there's a number of things to consider and a number of risks involved in pre-sale because not every pre-sale comes to fruition. So the BCFSA, the BC Financial Services Association, our regulator, has come up with a new form. This form is actually filled out by the developer and added into the developer's disclosure statement when they are when you're about to bring an offer. But what I like about it is it actually outlines. I like this from the CYA, the cover your behind kind of situation, where there's certain things that new construction buyers should really be made aware of. So it's just a nice form to say. So there's certain rights and obligations that you have and the developer has, and you're going to initial these. But purchase agreement may include terms allowing the developer to change the closing date of your purchase, cancel your purchase agreement if certain minimum pre-sale targets are not met, your unit is not occupied by a certain date, or you fail to pay an amount when required. They could return your deposit without interest if the developer cancels your purchase agreement, or they could refuse to allow an assignment of your purchase agreement. These are pretty standard things, but it's just, I like that we've now got this additional coverage and reminder to buyers because, a couple years into a contract, buyers are going to forget what we told them.
If you can go back to can you go back to the previous slide? I just like
Yeah.
the fact that it's got a receive a building permit by with an actual date. Like
Yes.
I find quite often in the new development contracts, it's so hard to find that information. It can be so wordy.
Yes. And so this now makes it explicit. If the developer does not obtain and disclose to you that they have received a building permit by X days, or within 7 days of the developer disclosing to you that it has received a building permit and the building permit shows a material change in the layout or size of your unit, development, major common facility, or I can't read the next part. Or if the developer does not obtain and disclose to you that it has received a satisfactory financing commitment by X, then you have the right to cancel your purchase agreement. And
That's
again,
great.
there's a lot of new construction where people are. I had this happen with some buyers. They were stuck for a couple years with something that was just kept getting extended and extended and extended. And they did not have at the time the provisions to get out, or it didn't get. And then at times it got canceled, and then they had anyway. Long story, but this is good. I'm just really happy to see this. So that's it for me. Jen, do you have any final thoughts? This is just a really brief one today, folks.
That's great information. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So you can find it online. I forget the name of it because I didn't actually include the name of this. Actually, I think it's called this one, Key Risks of Purchasing Presale Development Units, or the Risks of Purchasing Presale Development Units. So go ahead and Google that, folks, if you're looking for it. It's on the BC FSA website. It'll come up as a PDF. Okay. All right. So now we've got to do let's just do this. Yeah. So folks, if you like what you're hearing, please like us. If you don't like what you're hearing, please tell us. We want to get your advice and feedback and improve things as we go. Please subscribe so you don't miss a future show. Please comment and please share. We'd really appreciate it, guys. So we're on every Thursday morning at 9:30. It's usually Jen, Jane, and I. And as you know, Jane is off elsewhere. She might be watching the show, though, because she does these kind of things. She's just hiding somewhere and wants to make sure we've done it right and so forth. So if you want to reach me, you can reach out at 250-360-6106 or email me info@andrewplank.com. I'm with the Vibe Collective at Royal LePage, and you can check out our websites at realvibe.ca or my own website at andrewplank.com. You want to reach Jen?
I am at 250-217-4925. I'm with the Modern Mortgage Group. Email is jen@genlo.ca, and my website is genlo.ca.
Excellent. And then Jane, although she's not here and is on vacation, I know she's checking her email, and I'm sure she's got some coverage. So if you're one of Jane's clients or you want to talk to Jane in the future, give her a call. She's at 250-744-0775. Her email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com, and you can check out her website, briarhillgroup.com, as well. We host this show at the website, victoriarealestateshow.com. And Jane is on Instagram under realtyteacher_remax_Victoria. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you watching and sticking with us. We will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.